welcome everybody to the Bases and Brews podcast with Ben and Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer. We stream the show live every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews. Come drop us a follow over there and watch us live, or if you can't catch us live, watch us over on YouTube or listen to us on podcast services. Just search for Bases and Brews. Also, go over to Twitter and give us a follow at Bases Brews to get some baseball news and some updates. And with that, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Quarantining.
Do this right in the microphone.
So I didn't
quarantining. That's not good.
Yeah, a cousin came over and she was sick. I didn't get it, the wife did, but she seems to be fine. We're both vaccinated, so the symptoms, she can't taste or smell anything, but she had like a head cold for like 2 or 3 days, and that was about it.
Yeah, that's good.
So luckily, very mild for us.
Right.
How was your week?
Very busy with work. Just nonstop. Like our receiving got pretty crazy. Like our inventory is like out in our parking lot right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's bad.
Just a little bit.
But not too terrible of a week all in all.
Okay. That's solid.
Right.
You watched much baseball this week?
No, I watched like half of one Indians game. I've literally been so busy.
Did you see the barehanded catch it was the foul tip off the catcher's glove that he caught with his bare hand?
I did not see that.
I figured you would have saw it. I'll find it and send it to you. It happened against the Indians, so I figured you might have saw it.
Oh, no, I didn't.
It was pretty good. It was a foul tip off like the top of his glove, and it just kind of bounced straight up, and he just kind of like falls over and catches it with his bare hand.
Nice. That's pretty good. What are you drinking tonight?
So I've got one of these. Since I've been in quarantine, I didn't have a whole lot on reserve, so I've got a couple weird things tonight. This is called Social Butterfly. It's an apricot wheat. Light, refreshing, fruity. It's kind of a cool can. It's like
I like it. It's very simple, but I kind of like that.
Like I don't mind it. It's actually not bad. It's definitely like a fruity flavored style. Not quite like a sour, but you can definitely taste the apricot.
Yeah. Nice.
So what you got?
I also went with a flavored beer, and I got some Not Your Father's root beer.
Oh, that's a good choice,
dude. I got it a couple weeks ago, and then I didn't drink it. I drank it like off, not on the podcast. And yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get another pack because it's delicious.
Yeah, I'm with you. So for normal root beer, what's your favorite root beer?
I mean, I usually just go Bargs just because that's what's everywhere.
That's fair. So Costco around here started selling again my favorite. I think I showed you these before. I think we've talked about it. Dad's root beer. In my opinion, This is the best root beer there is that's like mass made. Like there's obviously some like craft places.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
So good. And around here it's sold in glass bottles, so it makes it even that much better.
Oh yeah.
But let's get on to some hot and cold.
Want to start it off?
Yeah, we'll start it off with the Blue Jays winning their 8th straight yesterday against the Yankees. They swept the Yankees. We were talking last week about how good the Yankees had been, and then all of a sudden they kind of just like fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
They have not been playing that great since last week.
Yeah, I have it in here. They're 2-8 over their last 10 games now. and because Tampa or Toronto's been so good, they only are a half game up now. They were like 7.5 up or something. They only have a half game lead. Our World Series picks have a chance.
I was literally just saying that earlier today when I was looking
Right?
at it. It was because uh, I think you had Padres, which I think are going to make the wild card for the NL.
Yeah,
I think. Um,
that sounds
they
right.
they keep going up and down. Right now they hold the second spot, but I don't like. I think the guys behind them are only like a game back, so it's not like it's a gimme.
Right.
Um, and you had the Blue Jays, and I had the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. So
Yeah.
very much still alive. I mean, I hope that the Blue Jays make it. I don't hope that the Dodgers make it now. I'd rather be wrong
Well,
on that
right.
prediction.
Now that your team's got a shot, um, yeah, that the AL East has been freaking nuts.
Yeah, it
It's
has.
like Boston had like a 5 game lead like 3 weeks ago, and now they're 9 games out.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the Yankees were like 9 or 10 games out, and now they're still 10 games out, but behind a different team. And
Completely.
but the Yankees were like they were like 5 out of the wild card at the trade deadline. Now they're holding the second spot for the moment.
Yeah, well, they did have that number one wild card spot for a while when they were hot.
Yeah, they're a game behind Boston at the moment. It's kind of looking like there's going to be 3 teams out of the NL West and 3 teams out of the AL East. Like, it's crazy.
Uh, it is a little bit crazy.
The only teams that have a shot is the A's and the Mariners are both 2 games back in the wild card.
I know. I'm really hoping the A's can put it together and get there.
But that means the Blue Jays won't. Well, I mean, I guess
Not
unless the Blue Jays pass the Yankees and Red Sox, and then the A's take the second spot.
It's not impossible, but
It's only a 3 game. They're only 3 games behind the Red Sox.
yeah.
The A's are. The Blue Jays are only a game and a half behind the Red Sox. So
I mean, yeah, it's definitely doable, but I don't know. It's a lot of leapfrogging. If something like that happened, that division would be absolutely bonkers.
do you know how pumped I would be if the Red Sox and the Yankees miss the playoffs? Like, I hate both those teams. Like, if they both miss the playoffs, I will be so happy.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. See, I've always kind of rooted for the Red Sox once my team was inevitably eliminated.
I did when they hadn't won in like decades, and then they basically just became the Yankees.
Yeah, but see, that's where it started, and I can't like get mad at them because they finally had success.
I'm not mad that they won. I'm mad that they won by turning into the Yankees.
Hey, if you can't beat them, join them.
I don't think if you said that to a Boston fan, they'd be happy that you said join the Yankees. But, yeah. We also have this dude who I had never heard of out of Miami. He's a pitcher in Miami, Sandy Alcantara.
Oh yeah, he hit like a double the other day or something like that.
So I don't know, but so he had double-digit strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts, and he had a 14 strikeout complete game in his last start.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
How did we miss him? I guess he plays for Miami.
Right. The thing is that I don't know this. I'm just guessing. They probably lost 3 out of those 4 games. Like, Miami's just not good right now. But,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
But yeah, that one popped up on my phone, and I was like, damn, that's pretty good.
He's apparently been around for a little bit.
Yeah?
4 years.
I didn't even look his stats up.
Looking at him right now, he's 8-13 with a 3.24 ERA this year.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, wins don't matter when you play for a team like Miami. Like,
that's very
you could
true.
pitch incredible and lose 1-0 because your team can't score.
That's very, very, very true. trying to look at his career ERA is 3.52, but he's 19-32.
Oof.
Like
3.52 is solid for
yeah,
a career
I was gonna say like
ERA.
for 4 years in, like that's not terrible. Like you could totally whittle that down to like maybe just over 3 to like what he's at this year, 3.2.
I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or two to see him get moved at the deadline.
Yeah, that seems like
If
somebody
he
who's
keeps up what he's
performing
doing.
and just like they
Yeah.
just can't either hit behind him or something.
Yeah.
Because that's
Well,
brutal.
they can't do anything there.
That's true.
They're really bad. But speaking of Florida, Wander Franco, the rookie we talked about last week with the on base percentage, had another hit today. So he has reached base in 39 consecutive games, which I believe,
Would be
if
the
I'm remembering correctly, would tie him for second.
jeez.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, I'm sorry. He went way past second. Second was Mickey Mantle at 36. So he's already 3 games past that.
Oh damn.
The only person above him now is Frank Robinson at 43, which is a record that's stood for almost 70 years. Stood for 65 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So
That is a long time.
That'd be a cool ass thing to see.
That would be. And he's playing for a
but
team that's really good right now.
they're hot.
Like really
But
good right now. Tampa Bay is real good.
He did leave today's game after he got the hit with a leg injury, so we'll see what happens.
That's never a good thing, but I also don't think it's necessarily maybe something to be too worried about.
Yeah, especially with a 9-game lead in your division, closing in on the end, pull him for safety.
Yeah.
Just to be safe. He already got his hit to continue his streak.
Well, that and you're almost at you're almost starting to count down. You're almost looking at your magic numbers.
Right.
So you might as well. No, let's do it. You might as well just sit him if you need to. Let him rest.
Exactly. So going to teams, we still have the Giants holding on to that first place slot, just barely holding on. Actually,
I think they made some ground over the last couple of games.
But
I know the Dodgers have fallen off a little bit.
Apparently they did win today, by the way, the Giants.
Yeah, they did.
Won 5 in a row now.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because the Giants were the first team to 50, 60, 70, 80, and now 90.
Yeah, they have a 3-game lead in that division. The real crazy still to me part is that the Padres are 74 and 65. Like, oof. Still holding that wild card, but not great.
Earlier in the season, like I think it was like maybe a month and a half in, the Dodgers were playing real bad. It was, and we had someone come in, and I know you got to remember, and they were like, "Man, what's more disappointing than the Dodgers right now?" And you couldn't even disagree with them at that point. But I think now that we're almost done with the season, you look back at where everybody is, you kind of have that same feeling, but just with the Padres.
Yeah.
You're like, man, what happened to you guys?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, we were not alone in both assuming the Padres would hit damn near 100 wins.
No,
and it doesn't look like they're getting anywhere near that.
No, I don't think so. I honestly, at this point, I'd almost be surprised if the Dodgers get there. It's another 12 wins for them.
I mean, what are they at?
No, maybe that's like 500 ball almost. So maybe
they're at 141. So they got 21 games left.
Yeah, so it's like a little over 500 ball. Maybe that's probably doable.
It'll be right around there.
I know. I'm pretty sure the Giants are going to get there.
If the Giants keep up what they've been doing all year, they'll end up probably about 105.
I'd be okay with that.
That's a solid fucking year.
I'd be okay with that.
I believe the record is still Seattle, right? 121.
Ooh.
I'm almost positive. I'll look it up really quick.
Probably. I know that at one point the Giants were on pace to set their single season win record, but I think they kind of fell off that pace.
Also, fun fact from yesterday just popped up for some reason when I searched this. ESPN put the Giants behind the Dodgers in the latest power rankings.
Which I think is ridiculous. The Dodgers have also, even while the Giants have been number one in that division, the Dodgers have been had the better percentage to win the division since like May. Which to me makes no sense.
Yeah. I was a little bit off. It is the Mariners. I had that part right, but it's 116, not 121.
Oh, okay.
That was in 2001.
Yeah, the
That
Giants
like
definitely aren't getting there.
No.
They could win out and still, I don't think, actually
I don't think
make it.
mathematically they could get there. But yeah, that was like, I want to say that was like the first year of Ichiro, the first or second year, and they had a bunch of other good guys too. But
got someone that's
honestly,
just always on base.
They might have still had Griffey. Trying to remember when Griffey left for Cincinnati.
What year was it?
2001.
I want to believe he was still there.
He was not. He left in 2000. Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, Giants looking good. Team not looking good. The Diamondbacks.
Okay, but they're only down by half a game.
Diamondbacks?
Yeah, is like the worst team. Baltimore's only a half a game better than they are.
Look at their record over their last 10 games.
Oh, let me. Okay, yeah.
I didn't tell you. It's 1-9.
Yeah, well, I mean, Baltimore is 5-5, so.
I mean, that's significantly better than 1-9.
I'm just saying it's not great.
You win half your games. That's 82 wins in a year. That's, I mean, it's not going to get you in the playoffs most years, but it's not a terrible season. Not that they're ever going to. I honestly don't see the Orioles getting better for a long time. They've been the bottom of that division for like almost a decade.
You don't think it's a trust the process type thing?
The trust the process thing lasted like 3 years. This has been a lot longer than that.
Let's see.
I don't know what it is. Just something about that team. Just they can't get it together.
I mean, they do have the number 2 ranked farm system from what it looks like. So maybe it is a trusted process and they're just not bringing people up?
Or they're all just really young.
Maybe. But you are right. They have been like terrible for an extended period of time.
Yeah. They've won one division title since 1997.
Oof, that hurts.
Yeah. That's 24 years they've won one.
That hurts.
I'm just saying, it's not like a short-term thing. This has been going on for like 2.5 decades. Bad.
But yeah, but they've been the Diamondbacks and the Orioles have been kind of duking it out pretty much all year for the worst team in baseball, though. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody else has really entered that conversation. Outside of maybe for like 1 week.
The Pirates were there, near the beginning of the season, but not for a while.
Yeah, the Pirates are pretty clear right now. They're like 5 games clear of them. They're like, nah, we ain't that team anymore.
I mean, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. That'll be our hot top or our big topic for the end of the year.
Which one?
Who ends up with the worst record in baseball?
It's got to be between one of those two, right? Like, it's got to be.
Yeah, of course.
And I would imagine if you look at the statistics, it's going to be the Orioles in the long run. But I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I feel like the Diamondbacks held that way longer than the Orioles did.
Maybe you're not wrong. The
And the
Diamondbacks were the
and
worst
the
team for me.
Diamondbacks have a way tougher division to play in.
That is 100% true. You have
So I
three
mean, I
of
don't know how many
the best,
division games they have left, but
you have three of the best teams in the NL,
yeah,
and then like literally one of the worst teams in baseball in the same division.
yeah. I mean, that's probably not a coincidence, honestly. Like they probably just beat the shit out of them. That's why.
All right,
But you
let's move on to some stuff that's happened this week.
want to do this last?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Chris Sale tested positive. I think that was yesterday morning, or it was yesterday, I believe, not this morning.
Yeah, it was yesterday,
So he is gonna
or
miss
it
a
was
start.
announced
Yeah.
yesterday. I don't know when he.
So he's gonna miss a start, but apparently there's been a huge outbreak with the Red Sox recently.
Like just in the last couple days, I think just
9
today,
people.
honestly, something like that. Yeah, it's bad. There was a, I forget who it was. I don't know if I can see it on my phone really quick, but um, he some like another executive from a different team was like, "Well, this is what happens when you have a big group of your team doesn't get vaccinated." Like, it's like, well, yeah,
Well, and this
kind of.
is so, and this is why some guys are getting cut from teams just before the football season started, because
I
the
mean,
football this year is being real strict with.
there's a lot of talks about that's why Cam Newton got cut from the Patriots because he got COVID like 3 times
Yeah.
because he kept going out and partying.
Well, in this next year, if they're not rescheduling games, if you don't have enough players to field a game, you forfeit.
They said the only way they'll reschedule is if both teams have the same bye week, which is pretty much not going to
Yeah.
happen.
So they're basically saying if you don't get vaccinated and it costs you a game, like, oh well, that's your fault, not ours.
Yep.
So
College football said that too.
yeah, but see, college, there's not people's game checks on the line and shit. But
True.
that's neither here nor there. But so that's huge. That's kind of breaking news. I don't know exactly all what's going on with that, but
I mean, we just talked about how the Red Sox are like hanging on by a thread. Like, this could be something that knocks them out of the playoffs.
well, and I think someone from the team said that MLB told them to like stop testing during all this.
Yeah,
And then
that's
the team
bullshit.
came out and was like, "Yeah, no, that didn't happen." And the MLB's like, "Yeah, no, that's completely false."
Yeah, why would MLB not want people tested?
I don't know. It didn't make a ton of sense,
Yeah, I
but
don't.
like I was like,
I
"Okay."
mean, it sounds like it's some sort of conspiracy bullshit, but
I don't know, but that it's definitely big news. I saw this and thought this was pretty cool. Um,
uh, go for it.
Max Scherzer is at just shy of 3,000 strikeouts, which is pretty nuts. If he gets it, which he will, he's 6 shy. He'll be the 19th pitcher to get to at least 3,000.
That's not a lot.
It's surprisingly a few. It actually might have been one of the stats, I think, on the article we're going to go over. Maybe it wasn't, but I know they talked about Scherzer.
I mean, I have the list if you want to go over them, but holy fuck. You talk about like 3,000, there's only 19 people.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan has 5,700. He's almost double that.
Yeah. When you look at other major though, like things like people that have hit over 400 home runs, I think it's only at like 32.
Yeah.
Like these things have like in the 30s, as far as like people that have done it perfect games is at like high 20s. What is it, 30 something?
Yeah.
We've looked that up a couple times. So like it just the fact that only 19 people have gotten to that mark is kind of impressive. He's definitely
There's a
future
lot.
Hall of Famer.
Now, granted, the way the game has been played has changed a lot, but there's a lot of pitchers who have pitched recently or are still currently pitching on this list too.
Yes.
Like
Verlander is on there.
Verlander, CC Sabathia.
Is CC?
Um,
Is he still
yeah.
pitching?
No, he retired.
I was
a
gonna
few
say I
years
thought
ago.
he just
Dude,
retired. He looks
if
better
you-
now though than.
I was gonna say, if you look up a picture of CC Sabathia this year, dude, he lost like 100 pounds.
He was at the Hall of Fame thing for Jeter, obviously.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I saw him and I'm like, bro, this guy looks better now than he ever did in his 20-year playing career. And it's like not even close. Like, dude looks yoked. He looks super trim. Like, he looks jacked now, not like fat.
Yeah, he was always like a heavy dude when he played.
But no, he looks insanely good now.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's definitely like, there's like records that we talk about every week in like the hot and cold that are like, you know, like the Wander Franco.
Yeah.
It's like he's the rookie under 20 years old with an on base, like it's all these like caveats, and this is just like, no, this is 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah, just it is what it is.
Right.
Or like the most strikeouts in your first 1,000 innings with Robbie Ray last week, I think was the one that we talked about.
Yeah. But
oh man.
yeah, that's a really cool stat.
And it'll be cool because he'll literally probably hit that his next game. Like, the Dodgers are already prepped for that. I think his last outing, he threw like 12 strikeouts. And it was like, he gave up like 1 run. He's been unreal. Easily the best trade deadline pickup this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, not a huge surprise, honestly. Like, I feel like when we were talking about trade deadline and we kept talking about Max Scherzer, like, I feel like everybody kind of expected him to just move and do exactly what he's been doing his entire career. Like, he doesn't seem like a guy who would like get flustered by a new scenery or whatever.
No. But that'll be cool to see that happen, as much as I'm going to hate to root for a Dodger for something like that. But it'll be cool to see something cool like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like history. Like, it's hard to not be pumped about it, even if you don't like the team he's on.
Serious, yeah. Well, I mean, baseball is baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always hate people that like just hate players because they play for a certain team. Like, you may not like them because they play for that team, but you got to respect what they're able to do on court.
Oh yeah.
Just absolutely. Like I dislike LeBron James, but I mean, I can't deny that he's easily in the top 3 discussion all time. I would probably put him 2 behind Jordan. Almost a 1A, 1B scenario.
Yeah. For me, it's, like, without getting too far into it, like, that conversation is always a tough one because, like, I was alive when Jordan played, but, like, I never really saw Jordan play. Like, I was never a huge basketball guy when I was younger. Like, with LeBron being in Cleveland, like, I watched him play a lot.
That's fair.
So I lean toward LeBron just because I've seen how dominant he can be.
We'll talk. Let's talk about this after this episode because I think it'd be fun to just dive into a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about this one because I thought this was cool too.
Yeah.
Vlad Jr., possible Triple Crown winner this year, maybe.
Yeah, I was just pulling it up. So he has a 6-point lead in batting average.
He's 1 short on the home runs.
2.
Is he 2? Did Ohtani get another one?
Maybe Ohtani must have hit one tonight then.
Oh, is he at 44?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then he's 1 up on the stats.
And then he's 7 back for RBI.
Damn. I mean, Salvador Perez must have got a few more.
Now, Jose Abreu is leading right now, 107.
I don't think that the batting average and the home runs is going to be the issue, because if he gets hot, he can literally get a home run a game.
Yeah.
He's that kind of dude. At least that's what he's showing so far this year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to lack on the RBIs. I mean, being 7 out now, that's making that up's going to be kind of hard.
RBIs are tough to make up too, just because you're so dependent on other people doing stuff in front of you.
That's very true. That's very true.
I mean, granted, he has a fairly solid team in front of him, but
That team's
still,
looking real good right now too.
yeah, they are.
So I'm definitely about it. But I don't know. I think that could be fun. I mean, I'm trying to
It's
think
definitely,
of, was it Miguel
it's not
Cabrera that
impossible.
won the last Triple Crown?
Probably. He's won like 2 or 3 of them in his career, which is insane.
It happens every once in a while. It's not. I don't feel like it's a common thing. Yeah, it was Miguel Cabrera, 2012.
9 years ago. It does not happen every once in a while.
I thought it happened a little more frequently than that, but I also thought that
one
happened.
Before him was 1967.
What?
Arlie Yastrzemski for Boston.
No. Wow. Okay. Never mind. I take back what I said. Maybe there's talks about it all the time. That's crazy. Sometimes when you look at some of these stats, it's crazy. Miguel Cabrera, though, future Hall of Famer.
There's been 27 of them, but 26 of them came between 1967 and 1870, whatever.
Damn.
And then Miguel Cabrera is the only one to win one in the last 60 years, basically.
Yeah.
50, 55 years.
You gotta love it.
That's nuts. I had no idea. Because, yeah, you're not wrong that it does get talked about fairly often. Like, players are close to it, but...
Oh, man, that's funny. So that'd be even more incredible if you could pull it off.
Right. Yeah.
But Salvador Perez, though, bro, is just on another level this year.
Yeah, he's breaking, like, every career stat that he's ever had. Which is saying something because he's been really good.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about him in a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to go talk about that?
Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow, 9/11. Obviously, September 11th is the infamous day in U.S. history. But the Yankees are playing the Mets, and they're gonna do a big memorial thing, I imagine. I didn't look into the details too much, but
Torrey is gonna be part of like throwing the first pitch and like the intro ceremony. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's not something good that is remembered, but I don't know if you remember though the first game after 9/11 happened.
I do. Yeah, it was like a huge deal.
Watching that game was insane.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever in anything you do that happens in baseball, I don't think you'll ever have that kind of emotion around a game.
I remember there were games happening on 9/11, like day games.
And I think they just stopped. Yeah, they literally just stopped.
Pulled all the players off, evacuated the stadiums and stuff. Because, I vaguely remember I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, we were in junior high, middle school, whatever you want to call it.
So yeah, I remember it, but not, super great.
But yeah, that game was nuts, though. I remember that game after.
It was a few days, right?
It was, I think, almost a week later. Like, they had stopped, like, baseball for a while.
Yeah.
They had stopped really all big events because they didn't know what else was going to happen. So I think it was like a week or two later. Let me see if I can look it up to see exactly how long, because I'm pretty sure it was like a week. I think it was like a week.
Sounds right. But yeah, I definitely remember it, and it was definitely very crazy.
A lot of things, but nothing from... It's a lot of like news articles from recently talking about it.
Right.
not necessarily like anything about that game. Here we go. No, I don't need Piazza's jersey. Come on, let's see if I can find it here. When was it? It talks about. I think it was 11 days later. Oh, no, it was 10 days. So it was like a week and a half. It was 10 days later. So, if you're looking at, like, all of baseball just stopping for 10 days.
Yeah.
And then that game was insane.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken,
it was.
If I'm not mistaken, Piazza had a home run in that game. Like, it was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was just crazy. I don't remember all the details of the game, but I remember like the feeling of like watching it on TV and like the before George Bush throwing out the pitch and like all that stuff. Like, too much.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, not a great thing to remember, but the like coming together and stuff afterwards was
pretty insane.
Where?
Wow.
Oh, froze.
Did we?
You did on my screen. I don't know.
Oh, I swear everything kept going, but maybe
it's possible. But yeah. So.
Okay, we look like we're okay.
But yeah, it was
sad day, but it's gonna be, I think, a good thing they're gonna do tomorrow. Yeah. I think it's gonna be pretty rad. All right.
All right. So yeah, let's get into this Hall of Fame.
So you said before the podcast you didn't watch like anything on it, did you?
I did not. I saw some like headlines, but that was about it.
Okay, I watched, since I was home, I watched basically everything. I watched the lead up to it. I watched the actual ceremony and everything. And just a few quick notes. I thought they gave the wrong people the most time to talk.
Okay.
Personally, from a fan perspective. So there were 4 people they were inducting. It was a 2020 class because nobody in 2021 was inducted. So 2020, since theirs got pushed back, it was Derek Jeter. Oh God, I just had it all up.
I have it up. Marvin Miller, Ted Simmons, and Larry Walker.
Yes. So Ted Simmons was the first to actually speak.
Okay.
And he was pretty brief. It sounded like they gave him 15 minutes to speak if they want.
Okay.
I don't think he hit that though. He talked pretty brief. Had a couple good anecdotes. I thought his speech was pretty good. But then they talked about Marv at what felt like for like 45 minutes. I know it wasn't that long. That's exaggerating, but he was an executive that helped establish the MLBPA and like help with, I think, some of the stuff surrounding like how long a player is under control by a club and all that stuff. So he was a big name, a big like behind the scenes guy for baseball.
Okay. That explains why I never really heard his name.
I'd never heard of him. Everything I know is literally from the stuff they had talked about at the actual ceremony. But I feel like they talked about him forever. And as a fan, I didn't know who he was, and nor was I watching for him.
Right.
So it felt like they spent a lot of time on him. I'm not saying what he did wasn't like super important.
Yeah.
But as a fan, like, I want him to get credit, but I just don't care.
All right. Without watching it, I'm kind of torn on that. So like, yes, I totally understand what you're saying. And I probably, if I was watching it, would agree with you. But at the same time, the fact that neither of us knew who he was maybe means you should devote more time to him so that people do know. Because like Derek Jeter, everybody knows who Derek Jeter is.
That's
So
true.
like, do you really need to spend a lot of time explaining why Derek Jeter's in the Hall of Fame? Like, probably not.
Well, but that's just it. They was since Marv has passed away, because like
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't know
like
that either.
he
But
helped found like the MLBPA in like I think it was like the 70s or something like that.
okay,
So he was like in his 50s and shit, like in the 70s.
gotcha.
So he has passed. So it was all like a retroactive, everybody talking about him, as opposed
Right.
to him giving a speech, which maybe that's why it felt longer.
Fair.
In defense, I actually didn't even really think about it that way, because everybody else was still alive.
Right.
But I mean, it was cool to like know and find out about him. But it felt like the time they spent on him, like they spent every time as much time as they could.
Right.
Whereas like Simmons went first and just kind of said his piece, thanked who he wanted to thank, told a couple cool stories, and then just kind of backed off. Like I said, I don't think he hit more than maybe 7-8 minutes at most.
Okay.
But after they talked about Marv, then and Larry Walker went, because they're going to let Derek Jeter basically headline
Of
it.
course.
And I gotta say, I didn't realize how funny Larry Walker is. That guy's actually pretty fucking funny.
So like I said before, I didn't know anyone besides Jeter. Larry Walker's name sounds familiar, but like off the top of my head, I wouldn't have been able to tell you who he is.
Oh, see, he played for Colorado, is where he's like most known for. His stats are actually pretty nutty. Here, I'll pull him up.
I was trying to look, yeah.
He played till 2005, so he's pretty young on the ballot. But his career stat line is a 313 batting average, just shy of 400 home runs at 383, 230 stolen bases. Like, the guy was a machine. 1,300 RBIs, a little over 1,300. I think it's funny that he doesn't like sound like I know the name sounds familiar because he was a big name. Like, I think he had 2 years like back to back where he hit like 360 for the year.
I was just looking. He hit 363 and then 379
Yeah, like it was nuts. The guy was a machine.
in 127 games. It wasn't even like he missed a bunch of the year or something.
No. So he's actually pretty funny because, from what he explained, he didn't even start playing baseball until like he was like 17, which is insane. He, I guess, tried out for hockey.
Okay.
And
I did see that he is Canadian.
He is Canadian, so he always wanted to be a goaltender, which I thought was kind of funny. He's a bigger dude. I mean, he's 6'2".
Ironically, I don't know how much you watch hockey. I'm not like a huge hockey guy.
I watch very little. Some, but very little.
Goalies are actually the smallest guys on the team.
Well, this guy's big.
Joke. Like, they have to be so flexible that they have to be like the smaller guys.
Maybe that's why they wear like 6 inches of padding.
They look huge because they wear so many pads, but like they're actually almost all goalies are like scrawny. But anyway.
But no, but he told a story about like one of the first times he played like on an actual team, like organized baseball. And I guess he had hit the ball, or he was on first, and someone hit a fly ball to the outfield. And he had rounded second, and the guy caught it, and he ran back to first, and he got called out. And he argued that he wasn't out. And he's like, I wasn't out. I argued with the umpire. Then I argued with my coach, and my coach was like, no, you were out. He was like, well, apparently you can't just run behind the pitcher's mound and go straight to first on a fly ball. Like, he's like, that's how dumb I was with baseball.
That's funny.
He's like, I already touched second once. Why do I got to touch it again?
That's pretty good.
But he had that in one other story that he had told that I was just like, man, this guy's actually pretty funny. And his delivery was good. I don't know. I thought his speech was good, and it was like appropriate. It wasn't super long, but it wasn't really short. So you're like, wait.
Yeah.
Like, we want to hear more. And then Jeter came up, and his speech was, I mean, like, what do you expect? It was God tier. Like, he's one of the most, like, calm under pressure, like, cool players to ever play baseball, and he basically was just that up on stage. Like, I hate the Yankees, but, like, Derek Jeter is Derek Jeter. Like, people love him, especially guys our age.
I loved Derek Jeter as a person, as a player. Statistically, I always thought Jeter was just a little bit overrated.
Defensively, he's actually not that good of a player.
Offensively.
Really?
So, like, his actual, like, I'm not saying he's bad by any means. He's 100% a deserved Hall of Famer. But, like, he's not, like, people always make Derek Jeter out to be, like, one of the best players of all time. And I'm like, he's really good and 100% a Hall of Famer. But, like, he's good.
I would say he's way more than
good. Well above average. He is without a doubt a Hall of Famer. I'm not arguing that at all.
I'm not saying he's like a top 10 or 20 player or even probably 30 player.
But I feel like a lot of people do argue that.
But he is like
top player of all time.
He is a superstar, elite of elite talent. Like, his batting average over 20 years. Was it 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years, 310. He had almost 400 stolen bases. Well, I guess the almost is a bit of a stretch. He had just shy of 360. If he was at like 375 or something, maybe I could give them that. 260 home runs. He was never a power hitter, though. But, like, his story, though, he was consistent his entire career.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's my thing. Like, he was always really good. He was never, like, top tier, like, incredible, like, I don't know. Like, I would have never made him a Hall of Famer, or not a Hall of Famer, an MVP. Like, there were always players who were better than him statistically, but he was always the most consistent player.
Well, and he never got an MVP.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But he was a 14-time All-Star, so over.
And he totally deserved all of them. I'm not arguing that he wasn't a good player. I'm just people make him out to be one of the best players to ever play the game. And I'm like, he's not that. Like, he's really good, and he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and I have no issue.
Not even a guaranteed Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer now.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. I meant before this, he was a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer, and I have no issue with that because he should be. But he isn't one of the best to ever play.
I wouldn't say that.
Like, yeah.
To be honest, if I was going to watch anybody at shortstop, it wouldn't even be him.
Well, we both know who we'd both watch at shortstop.
I would much rather watch Omar Vizquel at shortstop. Just because defensively, he was so much better.
Yeah.
Now, offensively, he wasn't as good.
No, Jeter was definitely a better offensive player.
But defensively, Jeter was never, like, he's known for these incredible plays, but
he would do like one or two of those a year, and then the rest of the year he was an average defensive player.
Yeah, statistically, he's actually not even that great of a defensive player. His range wasn't super great, which is why he made those spectacular plays, because he's barely getting to balls.
Right. Well, yeah, he was the one who, like, first started to do the, like, off-bounds jump throw consistently. And it's like, well, yeah, but most players are just in front of that ball.
Or they get to it where they can actually plant and throw.
Right, exactly. But anyway, I'm not arguing at all that Jeter shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame or anything. Like, of course he should.
His speech was great, though. Like, it truly was what you would expect from someone with the nickname the Captain. Like, he talked about times where he felt basically small as a person, like as an athlete. Like, I think it was one, like, Hank Aaron came up to him and was like, "Oh, I can't wait. I've always wanted to meet you." And he's like, "You've always wanted to meet me? Like, you're fucking Hank Aaron." Like, like, stuff like that, you know what I mean? He had one with, like, a reporter that he told story-wise that was really good, too. But they were very, like, humbling, like, almost more so experiences. Not like him talking about, like, all the things he did. Although he did call out the one voter that did not vote for him on the ballot.
That's funny.
He did it in the first, like, I think 30 seconds. It was a quick jab. Total joke, but it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, that's good.
It is cool. I don't think I've ever actually watched the induction ceremony for the Hall of Fame ever, though. It's kind of interesting.
I think I watched the one where like Griffey and Piazza got in.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part, I don't really watch it. All right. So really quick before we move on to what's going to be our big topic, I just wanted to list the players who are first time eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, who have a legitimate shot, and you tell me if you think any of them will be Hall of Famers, or at least first ballot Hall of Famers. Okay. All right, Carl Crawford.
I'm thinking if he gets in, it's going to be mid through the ballot process.
I agreed.
Maybe around 4, 5, 6 in there.
Prince Fielder.
I don't think he's a first ballot, but I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
I probably agree with that one.
And I think Prince Fielder's even slightly overrated. I love him.
I agree too.
I love Prince Fielder because he's one of the few guys in all of baseball that literally every swing he swung with both cheeks. And I can just appreciate that.
Because he couldn't outrun anything if he didn't hit it over the wall.
and I can appreciate that. It's fun to watch. But I do think he's slightly overrated. But I think he gets in. I just think if he does, it's going to be later in the balloting.
Agreed. All right. Ryan Howard.
I think he gets in, but I think he gets in on second. I don't think he's given the honor of a first ballot. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I just don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I think he's borderline. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it, but I don't think he will either.
I do see him getting in like in the second or third try though. Like I don't think he'll have to wait long.
Yeah. All right, here's one for you. Tim Lincecum.
He's not going to make it.
You don't think at all?
I don't think at all.
Wow. See, I think he'll get in, but not for like 5 years.
And it's not because I don't think he deserves to be there. Because I do, as much as I think he didn't have a long career, but his like 3-year, 4-year stretch of dominance was like one of the most dominant in all of baseball history. There's only a few other players that have pitched like more dominant in a short stretch than him. Like Pedro Martinez is one that I would say honestly, he probably has like one of the most dominant stretches in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So there are a few guys that I think are better than, but I think he belongs there, even if it's just for like you've never seen anything this crazy at all like that. But I honestly don't think he gets in. I want him to get in, but I don't think he had enough longevity for people to want to put him in.
Yeah.
But he was loved. So
yeah. Here's an easy one for you. David Ortiz.
Oh, first ballot.
Yeah.
He's not waiting. Did we freeze again?
Jonathan Papelbon.
Ooh, that one, that's a borderliner for me.
Same. He was really good for 5 years.
Yeah, maybe a little longer, but right around that.
But
I couldn't stand him as just a person. And I don't know, maybe he was really
obnoxious.
Yeah, maybe he was a really cool person like privately, but like he always seemed like he'd be an irritating person to be around.
Yes. I agree.
But I think he gets in, maybe not first ballot, but I wouldn't surprise me if he does either, because he was pretty fucking good.
I feel like it's probably fairly tough for like relief pitchers to get in first ballot.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're necessarily
unless you're Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless you're so dominant that it's like impossible not to put you in.
Right. All right. Jake Peavy.
Ooh. I'm gonna be a little controversial here and say I don't know for sure if he gets in.
Really?
Hold on, let me look. It's been a while since I've looked at his stats. Let me pull him up.
I think he gets in.
Because I don't want to. He pitched for the Giants for a couple years.
Did he? Oh yeah,
at the very end of his career. Maybe that's why I'm a little jaded, because you look at his ERA and the last series with the Giants is 5.54.
Yeah.
Let me look at his career stats though. 3.63. He's got above. I don't know. Maybe he does get in, but to me, triple crown.
He did win a Cy Young. To throw that out there.
Well, Lincecum won too, and I still don't think he's getting in.
Fair. That's fair.
I think he's borderline for me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets in. I think his stats are good enough to get him there. And in his time, there was a stretch where he was just pretty fucking unreal.
AJ Pierzinski.
He's definitely getting in.
You think?
Late. Okay. I'm talking like at the tail end last year.
I thought you were saying like first ballot.
No.
Okay.
So fun fact, AJ Pierzinski started, if I'm not mistaken, started his career with the Giants. The Giants got rid of him right around the time that they got Benji Molina.
Okay.
And then they got Benji Molina, and then you know who came up like 2 years later? Buster Posey.
It's funny how many of the Molina brothers were in baseball and how many didn't make it.
Yeah, right.
And how incredible Yadier Molina is. But, yeah. See, I would say AJ Pierzinski would not be a Hall of Famer personally, but
I don't know. Maybe I have a little bit of a bias because he started with the Giants, and I always kind of hated that they got rid of him, but I couldn't hate him too much because
actually, fun fact, he did not start with the Giants.
Oh, he didn't. Okay, but he did play with the Giants.
Unless he got traded as a minor leaguer, but he never made a major league appearance with the Giants. He played 1 year with the Giants in his 6th season.
No, he had to have. Oh, no.
7th season?
He was kind of like, he's one of those guys they got, and he never played, but they always wanted him. Like, he came up, I think, for like 1 game or a couple games, I thought, with the Giants. No, he didn't play any? No.
He didn't play a single game until his 7th year in the league. And then he played 131. He was your guy's starting catcher.
Yeah.
In 2004.
Yeah. I think he gets in.
Okay. I mean, he was a good catcher. But
but I don't think it's early. I don't think you're looking at like a first or even 5th. I think it's probably 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
Tail end.
All right. Here's a real interesting one. Alex Rodriguez. First year eligible.
No.
I mean, I agree with you.
He shouldn't. If you're going to keep Barry Bonds out, he literally should never even be remotely allowed to get in.
I agree.
He was actually suspended. He has the longest suspension in baseball history for using steroids. So if you're going to keep guys like Barry Bonds out, if he gets in, it's like the most hypocritical thing in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And it shows it's all popularity because of what he's done after his baseball career.
Now, with that said, if he gets in, then Barry Bonds has a much better chance.
I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Barry Bonds deserves to be in there before Alex Rodriguez does.
Fair. All right.
But Alex Rodriguez, though, was a fucking monster.
Froze.
My internet is just not loving me tonight.
I was going to say, you froze. I don't know what you said.
Alex Rodriguez was a monster, though.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was mostly steroids, but still, he was still insane.
We got 2 more. All right. Jimmy Rollins.
I think he makes it, and I think it's early, but I don't know if he gets first balloted.
Yeah, I think he's second.
I could see that. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a first ballot at all. But I don't know if I see that happening.
Same. I guess it really depends who else makes it, because
that's true.
Depending on how many votes everyone gets. So, all right, last one, Mark Teixeira.
I want to say no, but a lot of people like Mark Teixeira.
No to like getting in the Hall of Fame, or
no to first ballot. No to first ballot. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
I think he's first ballot personally.
Because a lot of people like him, so it wouldn't surprise me.
When he went to New York, he was hurt a lot, but like his years in Texas, he was incredible.
Yeah. No, like you're not even. That's like an
When
understatement.
you had Mark Teixeira and Josh Hamilton, like those two guys.
Josh Hamilton before all the crack,
Well, right, of course. Well,
or was it after?
before he got caught.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether he was doing or whatever. But yeah, so that is the people eligible.
I think Mark Teixeira gets in. I wouldn't surprise me if he gets first, but I don't know. If you let Teixeira in, though, you almost have to let Jimmy Rollins in.
Yeah. It does depend who's voting, too, because, I mean, Mark Teixeira was a power hitter, and modern baseball people love home runs.
You're not wrong on that one.
So, well, I'll talk to you about it after.
Okay.
Because we can't show the video, and it just happened. So
what happened?
It was Gary Sanchez for the New York catcher, the Yankees catcher, had arguably one of the worst defensive plays in the history of baseball tonight. I'll send you a clip. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, maybe maybe on the after show we'll try and pull that up and show it. And if we get a good reaction, we'll make a YouTube video out of it or something.
There you go.
But on to the big topic this week. Man, we've been going for a while already, and we still got... Actually, it's only been about an hour. Not too bad. But this week, we decided to break down what I found was a pretty cool article. It's a few stats from 2021 so far that are pretty bonkers. The title of the article is 11 Bonker Stats from 21 Season by Anthony Castrovins.
Sounds right.
That's what phonetically, that's probably right. So it's basically just 11 stats that are just kind of crazy for things that have happened this year and that are going on as we speak right now. Anybody here? Let me pull this real quick. Copy. Anybody who maybe is in chat wants to check it out, I just threw the link in our chat. Anybody watching on YouTube, it is up in a little box. You can check it out. But if you go to MLB.com, it should be on there as well. It's a pretty cool article, pretty well written. And you have it pulled up?
Yeah, I have it up.
Okay, cool. We'll start with the first one. The first one's pretty interesting. It's 608 and 335. Two different numbers. One number is Shohei Ohtani's slugging percentage as a hitter, and the other number is Shohei Ohtani's opponent's slugging percentage as a pitcher. I'll let you guess which one's which.
Yeah, fairly clear. Wouldn't be making this an interesting thing if they were flipped.
Yeah. So
I mean, let's just come out and say this. Shohei Ohtani is the MVP already. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year. He's the MVP.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
I mean, he's been doing this long enough. Well, I take that back. If Vlad Jr. wins the triple crown.
I was just thinking, like, if Vlad can get the triple crown, maybe he could dethrone. But I think even if he gets the triple crown,
I think if he gets the triple crown, he has to. You can't win the triple crown and not be MVP.
But you also got to and I know I've talked about this because I honestly dislike this whole. I don't like how good he is on both sides of the ball, and it just drives me nuts. I just hate that people talk about him like he's the next fucking GOAT of baseball. Although right now, he's doing things that haven't been done since like the 1800s. Yeah. So I don't even winning the triple crown that was done 9 years ago. What Shohei Ohtani is doing hasn't been done for 100 years.
That's fair.
So, as much as I would say it's a lock, like if you win the Triple Crown, you're getting MVP. But this particular year, with what Shohei's doing, I don't know. Now, if this was like next year or the year after, I think you have a case there. Because just like Russell Westbrook in basketball averaging a triple-double for the year, the first year he did it was like, oh my God, this is incredible. But then it almost was like, yeah, but that's just kind of what he does. So other people got to shine after that. Like he still was averaging a triple-double, but no one really cared anymore, per se.
Right.
That's and I think that might be a little bit what happens with Ohtani. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think people get used to it, and it just isn't as novel as like, because he's already done it.
I think that's a fair statement. Like, people talk about that with like LeBron. They're like, LeBron, maybe not now, but like 5 years ago and to the beginning of his career, it's like LeBron was the best player in the league almost every one of those years.
You could have argued a case for LeBron to win MVP like 10 straight years, yes.
Right. But like, they're not going to do that. So like, people, it's basically like, we know he's the best player in the league, but like, let's look at this guy.
Yeah. So I think because it's the first year that something like this is happening with Ohtani, and like that split is nuts. He's got a slugging percentage that's almost double what he gives up. The stat is in here is that he could give up a home run to the next 32 batters he faces consecutively and still be on top as far as slugging percentage goes by 2 points.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's insane. He could give up 32 straight home runs and still slug the ball better than his opponents.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah. He's real good.
He is a lock for the MVP. Like, he could literally not play another game this year. He's still winning MVP.
Now, does he win the Cy Young?
That I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers a little closer.
Right now, people are saying that Cole Hamel is the favorite.
Yeah,
Cole Hamel?
Hamels.
Cole in New York. Cole, yeah, right? No,
Cole Hamels is old. Like, there's no way it's Cole Hamels.
Cole, what's his name?
I don't know who you.
The New York Yankees pitcher.
Oh, Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole. I'm like,
who the fuck are you talking about?
I said Cole Hamels, and I instantly was like, I know that's wrong.
I'm like, I don't even think Cole Hamels has pitched in like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe he has. Maybe he's tried. But,
I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Garrett Cole. I mean, you could see my brain stop working when I said it, and I'm like, I know this isn't right. I'm like, anyway, but yeah, Garrett Cole, I believe most people are saying is the favorite to win the Cy Young. But
that wouldn't surprise me because I bet you if you look at just his pure pitching numbers, they're probably a little better. Everything Ohtani does is uplifted, even if it's not the best number-wise, because of how good he is both sides.
Right.
But on to stat number 2. You want to do stat? We want to go back and forth on them?
Yeah, I can do that. So the next number is 417, and that is Yasmani Grandal of the White Sox on base percentage. His batting average, though, is 230, which means that his on base percentage is almost 200 points higher than his batting average, which is nuts.
He's actually on pace to have more walks than hits this year.
Yeah.
He's at 69 walks with 49 hits. He's, what is it? In the article, it says he's on pace to become the 10th player in history with more than 60 walks and fewer than 60 hits.
Also,
that's insane.
At some point, if you don't have 60 hits in a full season, like that's at some point just quit. Like, that's embarrassing.
But if you're getting on base almost half the time you're up, like,
but 60? That's not even, that's like 1 every 3 games.
I wish I had a sound effect, but let's go on the Wayback Machine. We're going to go to the Wayback Machine from when I was a kid. I was a 10-year-old. I just got drafted to the majors, which for where I played was 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. So I'm the youngest of the group, right? I go up to bat, and I'm pretty sure I've told you this story, sports, but I go up to bat and I just don't swing the bat. Doesn't matter how good the pitch is, I just don't swing. My coach, the next time I went up to bat, probably about halfway through the season, literally was like, "What are you doing? Put that bat down. Give me the bat." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Give me the bat. You're not going to swing it anyway." And he literally took my bat and sent me to home plate without a bat. And all the parents are looking horrified at my mom, like, are you okay with this? Like, this couldn't happen nowadays. Like, this just couldn't happen in Little League now.
Right. No.
And she didn't say anything. I took one pitch without the bat, and then the umpire was like, "Okay, you got to give him his fucking bat back." Like, basically, like, I ended up getting a base hit, and from then on, I swung the shit out of the bat. If it was in the zone, I was probably putting it somewhere in the field. But that's kind of what's happening here. He's just probably not swinging a lot. He's probably just watching everything that comes his way. And if you can get on base almost half the time doing that, I mean,
I guess.
Billy Bean would say, but can he get on base?
I get that, but still.
But you're not wrong.
I personally would be embarrassed if I couldn't get a hit every 3 games.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just getting on base. It's unreal.
The on base percentage is insane and good for him, but I would be embarrassed with that of a hit percentage.
I mean, he's hitting better than some power hitters right now.
I mean,
I'm sure with probably a better on base percentage too overall.
Well, that is definitely true, but that's not. That's not saying much in today's baseball. Let's be honest.
That one's kind of funny. Just that one's just crazy because of how low his batting average is.
Yeah.
All right. Stat number 3, 20. And that is batters hit by the Padres pitcher, Austin Adams. So people are getting hit like crazy. I thought it was just me, but reading this article, it definitely says that the trend is up with people getting hit. Let's see. There's been, since 1901, there has been 34 times where a pitcher has hit a batter 20 times. The most recent is Kerry Wood, who hit 21 people in 2003. 21 people in a year. That's insane.
That's nuts.
That's like one guy a start almost. Because you figure they start like, 35 games? It's like one every other start?
Yeah. Less. I mean,
a little more than one. Yeah.
Less starts.
But what's crazy about this stat is everybody else that has done it has thrown over 178 and 2/3 innings. So basically almost 180 innings for the year. Austin Adams has done this in just shy of 47 innings. He's a relief pitcher, not a starter. So that means he is hitting basically a person every other inning he pitches right now.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That is insane. Why would you keep putting someone out there that is constantly hitting people?
Yeah.
And you're the Padres. I don't get that.
I don't know. I mean, his other stats must be great.
I don't know. I mean, the record for most people hit looks like it's 32 in 1901. Yeah. But since the dead ball era ended, the highest is 23. And that was in 1922. So if he hits 3 more people, he will have tied a record from literally almost 100 years ago. 99 years ago.
Nuts.
And he's a relief pitcher. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next number, 0. That's the number of hits I'm sorry, not the number of hits, the number of times reached base by Max Scherzer in 53 plate appearances this season. He broke. Wait, what? Oh, okay. So the all-time record is 70. Set by Bob Buell, who I've never heard of.
Well, it happened in 1962. It was like 30 years before we were born, almost.
Right.
So.
But yeah, so that is not a huge surprise, but not great. Like, at some point, just don't swing ever again and just hope someone walks you.
Well, Max Scherzer's on pace for a Cy Young. Who cares if he hits?
No, exactly.
But this is your reasoning, your specific 100%. Reasoning on why there needs to be a DH. And this is my exact reasoning.
Boring as fuck. Nobody wants to watch someone go 0-70.
But it's like you see him go like 0 for 2, maybe. And then you wait 5 days and watch him go 0 for 2 again. It's not like you're watching a straight 0 for 70.
It's not fun to watch.
Although, have you watched him swing? Like, it's pretty fun to watch.
No, I do not want pitchers to hit ever again.
It's all right if pitchers keep hitting like that. There will be a reason why they just go fuck it and they do it anyway. Yep. So you're getting what you want. As funny as this stat is.
I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't matter what happens to any pitcher. They're switching to universal DH.
That's not true. If you had more guys hitting like Ohtani's hitting this year, I mean, obviously no one can hit like that. But like, if you had guys hitting, 260, 240, 250, like, I could see them being like, why do we need it?
Well, right, but that's not what happens.
I mean, some pitchers hit better, like, overall, like average wise, than some of these power hitters. Some of these guys are hitting like 215, 220, but they're hitting like 40 home runs, so people love them.
I mean, you're not wrong.
All right, on to the next stat. Next stat is 1,000 or 1.327. So last year, the San Diego Padres just went insane with runners in scoring position. It was their OPS with runners in scoring position. Yeah. So this is like the opposite of that. This is the Twins' opponent's OPS with runners in scoring position, which is on pace to set a new record. The 2015 Tigers have the record right now at 1.215, but the 2020 Twins pitching staff had a 404 opponent OPS with the bases loaded. That's the 5th best mark all time.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay. So the Twins won the AL Central last year, and this year they are terrible. I don't know what happened to the Twins between last year and this year, but they collapsed hard, and they didn't have any injuries. There wasn't anybody lost to trade. They just fell apart.
I mean, it happens.
It wasn't even they started good and fell apart. Like, they've been bad the entire season
for a good portion. I think they started okay because they had Burns that was throwing like a madman, and their pitching staff their starting pitching, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty good. Oh no, I'm thinking Brewers. I'm thinking Brewers. My bad.
Literally caught myself. Burns, and I'm like,
yeah, I caught myself.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I don't know. That's pretty terrible. Like, that's not a record you want to set.
Nope, definitely not. All right, we'll move on to the next number, which is 8, which we have talked about multiple times.
This is no surprise.
The number of no hitters this season, which breaks an MLB record. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times on this podcast. Pretty much every time it's happened, and
I would argue that there's still enough time for another one. I mean, there's
the
what
rate
two
that we
and a
went
half
this
weeks.
Thereon.
There's what
Yeah,
20?
roughly.
Well, no, like 3 weeks because there's
About
like
3
21
weeks.
games left, 22. So maybe three weeks left.
3.5. Yeah.
I'd argue that there's still enough time for another one. I mean, honestly, all it takes is one game, but like there's still a decent amount of time left.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and there's been some weird ones too, like, and also arguably that could be 9 if you counted Madison Bumgarner's.
yeah, which I think is a bit of a ripoff because it counts as a complete game and it counts as a shutout, but it doesn't count as a no-hitter.
We talked about it when it happened. Like, I think it should count, but be a separate stat.
Yeah, like a completely
separate category. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
But anyway, yeah, it's incredible, and maybe part of that speaks to COVID and guys not being able to get ready fully for the season, and maybe it just speaks to hitters getting progressively worse every year as far as contact.
You're not. No arguments here.
So, yeah.
All right.
That's that one.
So this one is going to be a fun one. This is a good stat. I like talking about this, and that's 42. Yeah. And that's the number of home runs that Salvador Perez currently has, which is insane because he's never
tied for second.
Yeah, he's tied for second with Vlad Jr. He's never hit more than 27 home runs in his entire career. He's caught for a little over 8,500 innings.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
He's one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball, like without question. But like he's always been a good hitter, but he's never been a power hitter.
Yeah, I mean like 27 is above average though by far.
Right, but I'm saying like power hitter in terms of like 30, 40 home runs. Like 27, honestly, nowadays I feel like mid-20s is about average for home runs.
On it, you might not even be wrong.
Like everybody hits like the low end of home run hitters is like 15.
You're probably
if you're
not wrong
hitting 15 home runs, you're not probably going to be in baseball.
But he's 31 years old, which is kind of nuts. He's definitely not young. Like he's been in the league for a while.
He's been in the league about 9.5 years, I think now. But or 10.5, but I feel like baseball more than any other sport, like when you're 30, you're not really that old in baseball.
No, you're not wrong with that necessarily.
Just because like you don't usually break into baseball like the average player until you're probably like 24.
My only caveat to that is I don't feel like baseball players maintain their bodies like players of other professional sports do.
That's fair.
As a whole, I mean there are the guys that do. I'm not saying that like nobody does, but as a whole, I think basketball players and football players spend way more money and way more time like actually taking care of their bodies a little more than baseball.
I mean, there's a lot more running in those sports, to be fair, but
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, evidenced by the fact that Prince Fielder is a potential Hall of Famer. I mean, not to like shit on Prince Fielder, but like let's be honest,
he was never
that dude's never been in shape in his entire life.
Well, we just talked about CC Sabathia like an hour ago.
I mean, fair.
Where
Same.
like now he looks like he's in better shape than he ever did when he was actually playing. And he's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
But what's crazy about
CC Sabathia will be a first ballot Hall of Famer without any question.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
He won like 3 or 4 Cy Young.
I think it was only 2.
He won 2 with Cleveland. I think he won 1 in New York.
Maybe.
Anyway, not important.
But anyway, but the cool thing about this is he's actually 3 home runs away from setting the all-time record for a catcher.
Yeah.
He's the record is 45 set by Johnny Bench, who was on, I believe, my Field of Dreams team. Or
sounds right.
He was on one of my teams. I can't remember if it was the Field of Dreams team or the other, or our just other team.
Yeah.
But he's only 3 away. I don't know if he gets to 45, but like hell, if he can get there, that's cool as hell.
Yeah. It'd be cool. I've always liked Salvador Perez while also hating him for beating up the Indians, but like he's fun as hell to watch.
Especially this year.
Unfortunately, the Royals are atrocious this year.
I mean,
But
got to come to the field for something, right?
yeah. All right. Next number 350. That is the differential between Colorado Rockies home and away records,
Bro, it's
winning percentages.
so bad.
They have a 625 winning percentage at home and a 275 winning percentage on the road. That's real bad.
It equates to something like 20 or 40, like 8 and 22 at home, and like 15 and 53 or something like that on the road, somewhere in that neighborhood. Which is
would be
unreal.
The record differential for home and away splits is 356. They're at 350 right now, so it's not impossible they hit that.
They would have to be pretty bad away, and the Giants just swept them at home.
True, that didn't help.
Well, dude, the Giants series was nuts because they played the Dodgers, and everyone was talking about the Dodgers series because obviously they were tied going into that series.
Well, right.
But coming off of that series, they were going into Colorado, who, like we were just talking about right now, wins a lot at home, but just can't win on the road, which is the only reason they're as bad as they are.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, the Dodgers series was important, but if they don't go into Colorado and win a couple games, it doesn't matter. And luckily they went in and swept, but
yeah. But yeah, it's a weird stat. It does make sense that of any place to do it, it's Colorado. Just with the crazy.
Well, it just accentuates the like stereotypical thing you see with them. Because I don't think that's necessarily because of the park. I think they're just the team just isn't very good, and mentally when they're not at home, they just don't play very well.
There's that. I do think part of it is the stadium, though. Like when you're used to playing there, you have your lungs kind of because, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Denver.
I've never been to that high of an altitude. I've been to altitude, but never to Denver that high.
It does mess with you. I went there for my friend's wedding, and we went like rock climbing, and like, man, I was out of breath fast. And that was when I was in a significantly better shape than I am now, and like, it was very noticeable how quickly I ran out of breath there compared to other places. And like, if your team is kind of built for that too, like your pitchers are going to be ground ball pitchers, stuff like that. Whereas other teams come in and it's like, you're not building your team to play in Colorado.
That's true.
So like you have guys who hit pop-ups that fly out and
yeah, a lot of people, I think there's some validity to the splits thing with Colorado, but Nolan Arenado this year is basically proving that if a player is good enough, like, it doesn't matter.
I'm not saying that, like, that makes a player good or bad. I'm just saying if you can build your team around playing in Colorado, and that can lead to this kind of split.
That's fair. That's fair. Because like Nolan Arenado this year, which is his first year outside of Colorado, and he's literally performing. His batting average is down a bit, but his home runs are almost right on pace. Like his RBIs are pretty close to right on pace. Like he's not,
like you said though. Nolan Arenado is a really good player.
He's probably the exception, not the rule.
Yeah. Moving on.
All right. So the next stat is 2. And that is the number of teams and the number of 20 consecutive road losses streaks. Won by the Diamondbacks, who set an MLB record this year with 24 straight road losses. And the other team is the other team we talk about every week in the Orioles, who had a 20-game losing streak. But they actually had a 19 game losing streak as well. They almost had 20 game losing streaks this year
Yeah,
on the road,
which is nuts.
which is insane.
Yeah.
They've lost almost 40 games on the road in 2 stretches.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like that is nuts. Imagine being on that team, like how morally just disintegrated you would be. Like, oh, we're playing away from the park, we're gonna lose.
Right.
Like, I mean, you don't have that mindset when you play, but like, you know, it's got to eat at them in some way.
We've talked about how mental baseball is too, and like when you hit like 15, 16 games on the road where you've lost in a row, and it's like, we just can't do this. Like, and you get in your own head about it, and then you play worse, and it just feeds into it.
Well, what's even
just a loop.
What's crazy about this though for the Orioles is even though they've almost had 2 20-game road loss streaks, they're still only the 6th worst road team this year.
Yeah,
like,
which is nuts.
Like, what are people just like winning 1 game then losing 2, winning 1 game then losing 2 constantly? They've got to be, right?
I mean, the Rockies have to be 1, right? 257 on the road.
Okay, so the D-backs right now are the worst at 246 win percentage. The Red Sox are at 265. The Pirates are at 282. The Rangers are also at 282. The Marlins are at 309, and then the Orioles sit at that 6th spot at 333.
That's insane to me. That the Red Sox are 260. Wait, how do the Red Sox not have a bigger win percentage to home and away then? Because the Red Sox are way better than the Rockies record-wise, and they have a worse road percentage.
I don't
know. I'm looking it up.
I was gonna say I don't know. That's where stats get funny. I don't know. Maybe there's something they're doing that. Maybe they're not winning as much at home. Maybe they don't have as many. The divisions they play in aren't as strong as far as like the win totals go.
Maybe. I don't know.
So like even they've lost more games at home, but because the division they play in is weaker, they don't have to be as high of a total for their wild card, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly.
It's like if they have a better win percentage, but they have a lower road win percentage, then there has to be a higher gap to their home win.
Well, you know what's funny though is the Rockies aren't even in the top 6. And
right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, maybe they're number 7.
They're
275, so they should be right in here.
I don't know. Anyway,
they should be 3rd worst. The Rockies should be. So that would put the Orioles at 6th
because they talked about it before. I don't know. 7th
or 7th. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is weird.
Yeah, that is a bit weird.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Before our brains melt anymore.
Right. Next number is 30, which is the number of saves blown by the Phillies. It's the 9th most in the history of baseball with games left.
This is insane. 30 blown saves.
Yeah. So 34 is the record.
Yes.
There's one team with 33, 2 with 32, and then 4 teams with 31. But the 2004 Rockies have the record at 34, which is nuts. That's so terrible to go into the 9th inning with a lead and blow it. Like, that's oof.
Honestly, I feel like that's what the Giants are the worst at right now. I know they haven't blown as many saves, but that's because they've been getting up like 5-1, 5-2, so they can give
Right.
up like. But I feel like they've been giving up, an average of 1 or 2 runs a ninth inning, and it's been a little worrisome because you can't do that in the playoffs.
Right.
But at least they're not blowing saves because they're able to score. I couldn't imagine watching the Giants and knowing that like what a tenth of the season is
Basically.
just blown saves, like where your team is ahead and you have no one in the bullpen that can close it.
That's wait.
30 would be what, like
That's more than that. That's like 20%.
yeah, something like that. But even that's even worse. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
But yeah, it's crazy too because the Phillies were leading that division for a good chunk of the year, and then they just fell off hard. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of these had to have been recent, but I don't know.
although it does say that the Phillies did have the highest ERA in 90 years last year.
Right.
The bullpen. So, I mean,
Does make sense.
maybe it's really not that surprising.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I still don't think their record is terrible right now. It's not good, obviously.
I think
they're 71-69. They're only 3.5 out of their division.
Wow, that division's really bad too.
No, but what I'm getting at though is if blowing 30 saves. If you cut those blown saves in half, they have like a 10-game lead in that division.
Yeah, they're 3.5 out of their division, and they're also 3.5 out of the wild card, which is interesting because that means that if the Padres were in that division, they would be in first place.
So
anyway.
I mean, given that, like that makes me even more frustrated as a fan.
Yeah.
Like in theory, the Phillies could already have 100 wins if they just can hold the ninth inning and not blow saves.
Yeah.
Or be at like 98, even if you give them a couple blown saves here and there with a good closer. Like,
yeah,
that's
that
crazy.
Sucks. That sucks for the Phillies.
All right, and then the last stat for the article, which is a little close to home, which I think is kind of cool, and that's Starling Marte with 44 stolen bases, which isn't really like incredible. It puts him at 5th in the AL with stolen bases because he was traded at the trade deadline.
Right.
And it puts him at 4th in the National League. And the funny part is he hasn't stolen a base in the National League in 6 weeks. So, given that means he's probably going to end up top 5 in both leagues in steals.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if I'm sure maybe that's been done before, but I doubt it.
I mean, yeah, I have no idea, but
I mean, he has 22 saves in either league, which is pretty poetic with 44 steals and having it literally be split perfectly.
You said saves.
Oh, steals.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of appropriate. It's kind of cool.
Oh, actually, it says in here that nobody's ever finished in the top 10 in each league.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
So the fact that he could be top 5 in each league is even crazier.
But I think we've talked about this several times, too. Like, base stealing isn't a thing anymore.
No, it's not. Like, the top players have, like, 45. When it used to be, like, I think the record Ricky Henderson set is, like, 120.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Insane.
I'm actually looking at it right now to try and see what the record would be. Because I don't know. I just like...
Yeah. No, that's for a career.
Oh, yeah. I just pulled up career 2. I was going to say, that definitely didn't happen in one season. 138.
By Hugh Nickel in 1887, but modern era, it's Ricky Henderson at 130.
Yeah.
in 82.
So, I mean, when you talk like 44 puts him at top 5, but 130 used to be.
No. 22 puts him
yeah,
at
sorry.
top 5.
Sorry, that's what I mean. 22 puts him at top 5, and like the
Right.
record for a single season is 130. That tells you how far we've gotten away from speed baseball.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, this kind of surprises. Well, maybe it doesn't surprise me, because even when like Billy Hamilton was going crazy, I think he was only getting like 60 a year, and maybe that was only for like 2 years.
Yeah. I'll look it up really quick, but
He's the last like speedster I can really think of.
on bases, he had
Like, I don't think you see guys get close.
4 years where he went 57 or 56, 57, 58, 59. 4 straight years.
That's crazy.
So like
That's
he
still-
never broke 60.
That means he didn't even get half of what the record
No.
was.
Not
To
even
me,
close.
that's-
75 would be half.
yeah, that to me that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's why
It
I'm
was a
such
different
a.
game.
Maybe that's why I have such a hard on for small ball, because I watch guys like Ricky Henderson play, partially.
Yeah. I mean, he was the best to ever do it.
When he played for the A's
Right.
for a good portion of his career.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. But that was the last like big stat from it. I think it's just crazy that he's going to probably end up top 5 in the National League, and he won't have played in the National League half the year.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think that is the craziest stat to me.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Not the 44 or the top 5 in the AL because where he's still playing, but yeah.
But
Finishing in the top 5 in the NL without playing half the season there is
that's
nuts.
crazy.
And it's almost guaranteed at this point because he's 4th. Like 2 people would have to jump over him.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen.
No. But,
Anything else you want to throw on this week?
yeah.
Any news that's popped up? I haven't seen if there's. It's like inevitable, and something cool happens like right when we're filming.
I have 0 notifications from the MLB app.
Yeah, it means nothing cool has happened. Well, hold on, I got one. See anything good? Oh no, they're just talking about potential wild card previews. No new news. Okay.
Nope.
So I'm going to end the podcast here. Everybody, thank you so much for coming out and listening, watching another episode of Bases and Brews. If you guys want to come check us out live, we record this live every Friday, twitch.tv/Bases and Brews. We are probably going to be dabbling more on Facebook, so come check us out there too. Throw us a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on any of the podcast services, we appreciate you. YouTube, just search up Bases and Brews podcast. You'll have all of our old library. We've got a couple months worth of library since basically the season started. You can go see how dumb our predictions were at the beginning of the year, because some of them are pretty far off.
That's going to be a fun episode at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, that's going to take a lot of setup for, but that's going to be a fun one. But we do record this live every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you want to come in, join our chat, maybe ask us a few questions, pick our brains on stuff that's going on for baseball, hop in. We'd love to see you guys. And on that note, we'll catch you all next week for another episode of Bases and Brews.
Later.